Hey, everybody, welcome to Game Breaking News with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about pre-ordering the Switch 2 and the next massive multiplayer hit. I think something's happening with Oblivion as well. It's going to be a good one because we have Emma Fyffe on the show. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm seeing in chat and confirming on the internet that that Pope Francis died the day after Easter.
Well, okay, yes, and Blight Club had nothing to do with it this time, so I think the curse is broken.
Wow.
It was definitely one of those things where it's like he suddenly started feeling better and everyone was relieved, and it's like
Yeah.
those health worker memes are always like, uh-oh, that usually is like the last burst before the end, and that's how life goes. So as far as popes go, not a bad
He was
one.
all right.
I like Frank quite a bit.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, here's the thing is that now that means that it's time for Conclave IRL. I think we get in there with some cameras and we do a reality show about the conclave around the electing of a new pope.
It would, I mean, you're joking, but that would probably be the most popular show. I would watch
100%.
the hell out of that.
I'm just saying.
Those catty bitches just in there, just backstabbing one another. I would love that.
Yep.
JD Vance killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say it. I'll say it right to the camera. Clearly, that's what happened here. Everybody, we all know it.
You know, he really didn't. He didn't get a chance to check out the new Labubu drop happening this week. So, like,
that's real
that's
shame.
So sad. Yeah,
he got to watch. He got to watch night one of WrestleMania though. So that's good. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. The Oblivion thing is just popping off. I was adding it to the rundown here. We'll talk about that here in the news in a second. But Emma, how you been? Like, have you been playing anything? Have you given Blueprints a chance? Have you not had a chance because Gabe keeps playing it? What's going on?
Well, Gabe keeps playing it. Number one, my husband has finished the main game and is now being like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna play too much more of this. Like, there's clearly more for me to discover, and he has not stopped playing it.
It's such an iceberg of like, I got the credits and I'm like, oh my God, I understand like a fifth of it. I'm realizing now at that point I was at like 2%. Like it is, there is so much more in that game than you realize.
Yeah. So what have I been doing? It was busy last week. We were filming some branded stuff, and then also starting to prep for summer events and things. And then, of course, my new rabbit hole is Pop Mart. I'm totally obsessed. I have Crybabies now and a Skull Panda. And yeah, those of you in chat who are Pop Mart collectors, I saw people talking about the One Piece, the Monsters drop and how they bought a bunch of figures and now they're poor. And you know what? I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, it's been, and then I went to Renaissance Fair this weekend. So, yeah.
So the real fun stuff.
And that was great. So I'm going again next weekend.
I've never been to a Ren Fair. I've nothing against it. I've always, I think, wanted to go.
Yeah.
But like when you go, what do you do?
I always dress up.
Right. Of course.
And mostly you walk around and people watch. There's a bunch of shows. The LA Ren Fair has a couple of like really fun musical groups. Like there's one I really like who are called the Merry Wives, and they sing, like body Ren Fair tunes. It's really fun. And yeah, you eat food, you watch goofy shows, you shop, you people watch. It's great.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. But they have lots of nice activities and things set up for kids as well. So, it's always really fun when you see the little kids all dressed up in their little outfits. And I saw a little girl yesterday who was trying one of the like cape wings, and yeah, it's really, really fun. And you do sort of consent to some light sexual harassment.
Does that just go hand in hand with the Ren Fair?
It kind of does. Yeah.
You get called wench a lot? Is that what it is, or what?
No. They've toned all that kind of stuff down. There are certain areas where, like, there's this one bar at the SoCal Ren Fair called the Oubliette, where they put you in like stocks, and if you're a lady in a bodice, you have to like lean over to drink your drink. So you know
Sure,
where I'm going with this,
right? Of course. Okay, it's woke, but not that woke. All right,
100%. Yeah. But yeah, it's a good time. I bought a little crystal sword necklace.
Ooh.
And I really like it. So it was a great day.
Well, it does sound like a good time. I'm going to look into a Ren Fair. I'm going to go. I think the kids would like it, actually.
Yeah, I think your girls would love it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Breaking News or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start breaking the game news with Bethesda has announced an Oblivion stream for tomorrow. On Blue Sky, the official Elder Scrolls account said tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, and it posted a picture of the Roman numeral 4 with some artwork in the background. It's Oblivion. It's clearly the Elder Scrolls for Oblivion. And they've also... people have done some like digging on Steam in the back end, have found that the game files are already uploaded to the Steam servers, and they're 120 gigabytes. So big remaster apparently here. Remaster, remake. I'm sure we'll have a conversation about that ongoing as this actually comes out. But basically, the files are ready, loaded, ready to go, and they have a stream tomorrow. They're going to shadow drop this thing tomorrow. Is kind of the way I see it going down. So I'm excited about this. Continue to be like, oh right, it feels like we've known about it for forever because in a lot of ways we have. Where's your excitement level for an Oblivion?
I mean, look, as we discussed, we knew that this was gonna happen, and I think that this is a nice in between of just straight up shadow dropping and having a lot of build up is basically do a stream when the game is essentially available.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And it's, I think people are still like not sure, like, are they really going to shadow drop this thing? It looks like such a big deal. And I'll admit that I don't fully understand the strategy of like what makes sense for them in terms of shadow dropping. And I guess shadow dropping just means stealth dropping the day you announce it, essentially. Mm-hmm. Or is this, or maybe they are going to pull the rug out from under what I've been hearing in terms of reporting, and this is just the start of a marketing campaign, and they'll make a big deal about it for weeks. But I think this game continues to be big enough that if you say it's available now, people will get excited, and you don't need the extended marketing campaign. It can kind of sell itself.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed at length the fact that this is different than dropping a new IP. This is an existing IP. This is seems to be significant remaster of a game that already has a fan base that even perhaps gained more of an interest in the post Skyrim world. So you just don't need to spend on marketing on this the way that you do with another game, and simply putting the game out there and being like, hey, now this is available to play. It's not necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah. And I think Bethesda's a company that, under Microsoft, but they operate mostly on their own. It's probably like, hey, you know what? Saving money on a marketing campaign is, a dollar saved is a dollar earned. $15 million saved is $15 million earned, right? So you just kind of turn that into Elder Scrolls is a thing that generates excitement on its own. Let's take advantage of that. And this thing's going to be out this week. I think it's going to do very well. As long as, there's no cataclysmic issues, which could always happen, especially with a Bethesda game.
I was going to say, it is Bethesda, so.
It is Bethesda, so we'll see. But in terms of like how it looks, I'm very excited to go back to Oblivion. And you're right, Oblivion was successful. It was a very big deal on the Xbox 360, but Skyrim was just several like orders of magnitude larger than that. And I think there's a lot of, obviously there's a ton of people who played Skyrim and never went back to Oblivion, let alone the rest of the series. I think, eventually this does maybe take them back to Morrowind at some point, probably no time soon. They almost certainly would do Fallout 3 first before going back to Morrowind. But hey, either way, very cool. Very excited to see it.
I was a Morrowind player back in the day, so
I've tried it a couple times since. I didn't play it at the time, but God, people who love Morrowind, and I feel like I really liked it when I played it. Yeah,
I feel like it was the first game that I ever played where I felt like I was just dropped into the game, and they went, "Okay, do whatever you want."
Yep. Yeah. No, and God, that's my game. Like I talk about like wanting to be autonomous in my games, and kind of like mentioned on the show last week. You hand me a game, and I don't feel like you're handing me a story. I feel like you're handing me a guitar that I get to play and be a part of. And I think it was Oblivion that was a huge part of opening my eyes, like, oh, this is possible, and I can enjoy games on my own terms. And since then, that's been the dragon I've been chasing.
Yep.
All right, let's get over to a lot of Switch 2 news. Obviously, that is out in, let's see, a little bit over a month. Yeah, a month and a week away, essentially, a month and 10 days. So it's going to be a lot of news. It's going to dominate the headlines here for the next little bit, especially this week as pre-orders will begin in the United States. If you already have your pre-order somewhere else, apologies as we all get excited late because we are a mess of a country. But GameStop, Target, and Walmart announced when their Switch 2 pre-orders are going to start. This is from Jay Peters at The Verge. Nintendo said today that Switch 2 pre-orders in the United States will begin on April 24th ahead of the console's June 5th launch day. And now GameStop, Target, and Walmart have shared exactly when you could try to snag a pre-order. GameStop said on Twitter that in-store Nintendo Switch pre-orders will start when doors open on April 24th. Online pre-orders will kick off that day at 11 a.m. Eastern. The company also said that all stores will open on June 5th at midnight, 12 a.m. Eastern. And then on the West Coast, it's going to open at 9 p.m. the day before for console launch. Lucky. We might be in LA at that time. So I'm like, I should just pre-order in LA.
You will be in LA at that time.
I might, if I get an online order, I might just have it shipped to your house. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Just give me your address right now on the internet. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to just announce it to everybody. I'm going to dox myself.
We'll see how it goes down, but that's there's a possibility for that.
I think y'all will be in LA.
It's almost certainly, yes. Target's Switch 2 pre-orders will kick off on April 24th at midnight, according to Target's website. The pre-order time applies to consoles, games, and accessories. Walmart, meanwhile, says Switch 2 pre-orders will begin on April 24th at midnight. Company spokesperson Lee Stidham tells The Verge. Walmart's website also says that you'll get your console before 9 a.m. on June 5th if you pre-order by June 4th at 8 a.m. Eastern while supplies last. And then finally here, Best Buy has not listed a specific pre-order time, but according to a post on its website, pre-orders for the console, games, and accessories will be available on April 24th via the Best Buy mobile app and bestbuy.com. They asked Best Buy what time pre-orders will open. They have not heard back, but Best Buy has also said that most stores will open for pre-order pickup on June 5th at midnight. So a lot of midnight launches. I can't remember the last midnight launch I've been to. It is approaching probably 20 years since I've been to a midnight launch. It's like getting pretty close to that.
Time
like,
I went to
like a Call of Duty for me or something like that.
Midnight launch or a midnight movie. It's just kind of a thing of the past in a way like the physical in-person launch. I actually, to draw some parallels here with my new obsession, which is Pop Mart.
Of course.
The 24th is when the new Labubu 3.0 comes out, which is from the Monsters line. And so I'm like, damn, the internet is going to break on the 24th of April.
Listen, I love hearing about this Pop Mart stuff, but if Labubu messes up my Switch 2 pre-orders, I swear to God, we'll see. I am trying to come up with a game plan here. To figure out the best course of action. I think I'll try to pre-order at online at Best Buy and maybe Walmart, and then I might also try to do an in-person pre-order and see if I can double my chances of making sure I get one. And then we'll see from there. If I do get two, I probably would just give one to a family member or something like that. So that'll be good to have for the holidays as they approach. But likely I'm gonna barely be able to get one, if that. So going to try to go with Best Buy. I think that seems
Yeah.
I just feel like out of all of those, they will be the least trafficked for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I have to tell you that I saw someone trying to run a grift on PlayStation 5s at a Best Buy one time.
Ooh, okay.
It was so funny because I had gone to pick up a game, or maybe I was going to pick up a Switch or something like that. And this is right when they started to actually have PS5s in stock. And I saw a guy in the store. Oh, you lost? Oh, no.
Oh, you're back. No. You're back for me now. I think we're good.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, you were frozen for me for a second, and I just heard your voice. But anyway, so I was saying about Best Buy, is I saw this guy come into the Best Buy, and he was in line, and he got a PlayStation 5, and then he came back later, and they like have to scan your ID, and they're like, "Sir, you already purchased a PS5 today. You cannot have another one."
Maybe best. Okay, well, if they're on top of it at Best Buy, maybe that's not what I want. I kind of want like them to be half on top of it, so it's just I feel like there'll be a mess, and if I have the perseverance, I'll be able to push through and guarantee a Switch 2. I'm still very excited about this system. I did. This is embarrassing. Have a dream about playing it last night. So that's where I'm at.
I'm going to a press preview for a thing a little before Summer Game Fest, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if we'll be playing on Switch 2s.
I'm like, Nintendo has announced that they'll be at PAX East, but they often are. And I'm like, is there a chance the Switch 2 will be there? That would be fun for me, someone who would like to touch a Switch 2.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Just glad that pre-orders are happening this week. Glad the price is not insane. Accessories did go up in price. But honestly, that felt like the best case scenario in a lot of ways, even though, of course, it still does suck. They've increased the price by like $5 across the board. So, again, not insane, but it feels bad. It feels bad to be like, thank you for only raising the price a little bit, mister. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm looking forward to this. Would like to play Mario Kart World real bad, and looking forward to Donkey Kong Bonanza. We'll try. I mean, midnight, but I might stream us trying to get pre-orders. Maybe we can all hang out and chat if everyone wants to do that. So
yeah, we can just have like a gang trying to get pre-orders together.
Try to get pre-orders and like working together to, everyone can inform each other about what's happening where, and try to share best practices. There's a lot of information about how to maximize your chances when you're trying to pre-order, and we'll kind of go over all that and do our best. All right, let's see here. Sticking with Switch 2 for a little bit, Nintendo brought back Paul Rudd for a Switch 2 commercial. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Nintendo has published a Switch 2 advert featuring actor Paul Rudd 3 decades after he appeared in a classic television spot for the Super Nintendo. The Ant-Man star Rudd originally featured in an advert for the Super Nintendo for its American launch in 1991. Now, more than 3 decades later, almost 35 years later, Rudd has reunited with Nintendo for a new ad mirroring the Super Nintendo one. Step back into 1991 and watch the official Super Nintendo Entertainment System launch commercial featuring Paul Rudd, Nintendo said. 3 decades later, we're back together again, but this time launching the Nintendo Switch 2. And they put him in a wig, so he looks like he has his like 90s long hair a little bit, and he's got the same blazer and shirt, and there's a fog machine, and he walks through, and they have the same like Dutch angles that they used in the 90s. It's a fun time. I remember over the weekend I saw it, and I just put it in Slack, and I'm like, maybe get to this on Monday. And Tom Caswell just jumped on it immediately, and that the comparison that he did for
the side by side,
side by side, it's got like something like 8 million views on Instagram already, or something like that. So apparently, Paul Rudd works. Paul Rudd is a star for your commercial.
He has made an entire career. Not that Paul Rudd is not talented. Paul Rudd is talented. He's very charming. He is very funny. He's made an entire career off of being nice to work with.
Yeah, I bet. You know what? Where's he from? He's from like Kansas or whatever.
Yeah, he is.
Got that Midwest charm in him that I think makes him, nice to work with is probably the best way to put it. So very cool and very good to hear that. I like Paul Rudd quite a bit. I think he's very funny. But yeah, it's a cute commercial. It's also They do the fake online voice communication stuff, but he's doing it with Joe Latruglio, who's
I love Joe Latruglio.
Me
oh my
too.
gosh.
Honestly, maybe more excited about Joe Latruglio in this ad than anything else. Especially, he's got the silver hair now. He's looking like a silver fox.
I know, he's great.
He's fantastic, and both of them are like from like Wet Hot American Summer and stuff like that. I'm just like, they should get the entire like the state and Wet Hot American cast to just sell the Switch too. I don't know, just appeal to older millennials for some reason. Like, we weren't going to buy this thing anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. But this is actually for us.
But hey, cool commercial, very fun. And again, that's where I'm at with the Switch 2, everybody. It's embarrassing, but I'm excited about an ad. New Mario on Switch 2. Here's some maybe real news to talk about. Stay tuned, says Nintendo of America president. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser has reassured players looking for a new Mario game on Switch 2 that it'll be coming. Many players were expecting to see a new 3D Mario game during the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct earlier this month, given that the last entry, Super Mario Odyssey, was released 8 years ago. Instead, Nintendo revealed Donkey Kong Bonanza, a 3D platformer starring Donkey Kong, which appears to use an engine similar to that of Super Mario Odyssey, even if its development team remains a mystery. It's the Mario team that's working on that. In an interview with CNN, Bowser was asked about the lack of a main 3D or 2D Mario game confirmed for the Switch 2, but Bowser suggested, again, that's Doug Bowser, not Bowser the villain, suggested that fans simply need to hold fire because one will eventually be on the way. Stay tuned, he replied. You know, we have a long catalog and a long list of properties that I'm sure will make its way to the platform. So not really him saying anything else other than, of course, we're going to make a new Mario. But, stay tuned does feel suggestive. It does feel like maybe a Mario game will come sooner than we think based on, hey, the Mario team's making this Donkey Kong game. Emma, I go back to, I think it was early last year, like January of 2024, I think, where Nintendo started talking about their desire to work with more external partners, more indie teams, but also just more like the way that they work with like Namco or whatever. They said they want to do that more so they can make software more frequently and bigger and better and all this stuff. So what are the chances, you think, that this Donkey Kong Bonanza game is in fact made by the 3D Mario team, but maybe it's made in conjunction with another studio, and then Nintendo's doing a similar thing so it can spread that team out and make a Donkey Kong Bonanza here and then a new 3D Mario sort of in parallel by like spreading out and working with more teams. You think that's a thing?
It seems very unlikely that they would let anybody work on Mario that isn't the core Mario team.
Right, maybe it's more likely Donkey Kong could get that
correct
treatment.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think that you are correct that there was probably involvement from the 3D Mario team for sure on the Donkey Kong game. I mean, Donkey Kong looks like the secret sequel to Super Mario Odyssey. However, I do think that, again, because they had that established formula that you can bring in people to work under the oversight of some core team members from the Mario team while the rest of them are able to, continue to focus on what they make, which is Mario games. So I do think that it would be extremely weird if we didn't get a new Mario first-party proprietary mainline title on Nintendo's new console in the semi-immediate future.
Yeah, I think so. Like, looking back at Bowser's Fury, which is the real last 3D Mario game, as much as it's a weird release and it's a half release and it's something smaller, you can only get it with another remastered game. It was made by Entertainment Planning and Development Department of Five, I think, is the Mario team, and they did work with a support studio that I'm sure like was helping them with the technology, and it was Nintendo Software Technology and 1UP Studio were the support studios on Bowser's Fury. So, like, maybe that relationship, budded and bloomed, and those teams are taking not the lead, but a bulk of the development for Donkey Kong Bonanza because they had this close relationship, and that freed up the core EPD5 team to go in the direction of, and let's get to work on Mario. And that's not even to point out, like, this Donkey Kong Bonanza game could have been development for a very long time. It could have been done for quite some time. I'm guessing, but I get the sense that this is something they maybe were thinking about pairing originally with the Nintendo Switch Pro several years ago, and of course, then it would have still came out to the Nintendo Switch. But like it seemed like that kind of game, and they're like, actually, you know what? Let's hold off. Let's make this the launch game for the Switch 2, and by doing that, we have something ready to go, and we can get to work on the next 3D Mario game and have that ready for, let's say, 2026 or something like that. That it all feels pretty plausible. They know the value of Mario is as high as it's ever been. It like coming off that movie, coming off of Super Nintendo World, and them building more Super Nintendo Worlds everywhere, and just being like, hey, like we want to have merch and movies and games that capitalize on people's love of Mario. They're not going to go several more years without a big game to release on the Switch too.
No, they're not. Yeah, man, there's a Donkey Kong roller coaster in the Florida Mario Super Nintendo World. It actually is Super Nintendo World. It's not just Mario.
That's right.
Which is what we have in LA. Man. Oh yeah, new movies coming out. Yeah, there's certainly a 3D Mario that is more done than not for the Switch 2. There has to be.
Yeah, the next Mario movie is next April, according to chat. I couldn't remember if it was 2026 or 2027, but 2026 sounds right. So yeah, I given those circumstances, that circumstantial evidence, Emma, I think we can work backwards a little bit of like, okay, how does it make sense for them to get a Mario game out next year? Mario Wonder from the 2D team, kind of maybe too fresh, although not going to be surprised at all when Nintendo Super Mario Brothers Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition gets released, early next year or whatever. But then a real new 3D Mario game ready to go in time for the movie. Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, that seems very plausible.
All right. Fortnite will be on Switch 2 on launch day. Just worth pointing out, this is a native version. And I guess I'm just still not used to seeing these numbers, which was why I am including it, Emma. It's going to be 1080p and 120 frames per second in one mode when it's in handheld. And then it could support up to 4K in docked mode. I guess going into the Switch 2, I knew it'd be able to output 4K to connect to a 4K TV and speak to a TV in 4K. I was never really expecting Nintendo and all of its partners to frequently be saying the game is going to be, running in 4K, whatever that actually means, right. and kind of promoting that as a resolution that these games support. Now, obviously, a lot of them are going to be using upscaling techniques to get to 4K, but so does every console. So that's not really that much of a difference. So it's just wild to be like, oh yeah, the Switch 2, this little handheld thing, they're talking about 4K. I'm sure DLSS is going to help a lot with that. But it does feel like this thing is maybe a little bit more powerful than I was expecting. How about you, Emma?
I actually think that it is about what I was expecting.
Good, okay.
I didn't expect it to natively run 4K like on your little screen, certainly. But yeah, I mean, I was like, they have to be working on outputting 4K and 60 frames per second even. I mean, 120 is, a
bonus.
That's too many frames for me personally. But for those of you that like that, I'm so happy for you. It's just the games I play don't need that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, again, it's like, it being able to output 4K, I definitely thought was top of mind for them. The being able to support 120 frames per second was surprising to me. I will say that. But the 4K part, I was like, yeah, I mean, even Nintendo has to know that that's just something people expect from their consoles now.
Yep. It's nice that Nintendo's actually kind of meeting those expectations. Something I didn't necessarily think it would do. Now, I think that does lead into some of the criticisms that people have had, which, I think are very mild, but and they do come from a place of, am I going to like this thing as much as I like my Switch 1?
Yeah.
But people are like, they're kind of talking about power, not talking about all the weird quirks that make previous Nintendo consoles so interesting. But I just think that continues to be the right move, and Nintendo can get creative with the software and the hardware being good enough that most developers aren't pulling out their hair, and that seems to be what we keep hearing from studios, at least so far. They're like, no, we knew what this thing is going to be, and this is kind of a very good version of what we knew it would be. And it's okay, that's nice to hear, and gives me faith that this thing will get decent support for a very long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick with the Switch 2 just a little bit longer. Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2 uses DLSS, and then that's confirmed by CD Projekt Red. Richard Ledbetter over at Digital Foundry kind of did a long write-up on all of this and talked to CD Projekt Red, got confirmation. And CD Projekt Red said, we're using a version of DLSS available for Nintendo Switch 2 hardware powered by NVIDIA's Tensor Cores. The game utilizes DLSS in all 4 modes, in handheld and docked, and the performance and quality variations of each. So the game's going to have a performance mode and a visual fidelity mode, and in the lower frame rate version, it's going to be 30 frames per second, and performance, and it's going to go to 40 frames per second. And the idea would be the screen on the handheld will update at 120 frames per second, and then every 3 of those hertz, you'll get a new frame from the game, which 40 frames per second actually does look significantly smoother than 30 frames per second. You know, it's 33% more frames per second or whatever. And so I think that's a pretty good compromise. And this is mostly noteworthy, though, Emma, because no game has confirmed that it uses DLSS on Switch 2 so far. I'm like of the opinion still, and I could be wrong. This is a guess, but I am of the opinion that I bet just about every game is using DLSS in some way, because I bet it's just built into the system at a core level, right?
Well, 100%. I mean, it really does connect to the exact conversation we were having about the Switch being able to output 4K. Right. It doesn't natively run 4K, but with DLSS, it can upscale to 4K if you are playing on a monitor that supports 4K. So again, look, nobody confirming it, sure, but that's certainly what's going on.
Yeah, I get that the people are like waiting to find out more. Also, like, this is a version of DLSS, very likely that is proprietary to the Switch 2. It probably works with its hardware. It's probably built specifically for that. The implementation in the software development kit is probably specific to that hardware. So the characteristics of DLSS that we might see on other platforms could look different on the Switch 2. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions about it. And I suppose, as always, should update. DLSS is just an upscaling technology. The game can run at a lower resolution, so it can run at a higher frame rate. And then DLSS does a little bit of math to upscale it to make it look like the 720p image is actually a 4K image, and so on. I bet we're going to see that a lot of games actually have already been using it and we just didn't know. Or maybe a lot of the trailers in the Direct didn't have DLSS turn on because they didn't have the latest firmware or whatever from NVIDIA and Nintendo. And that stuff will be in new trailers going forward.
Yep.
All right. Oh, yeah. Someone did mention here that, all these modes and quality settings feels anathema to Nintendo's messaging of purity.
Great word, anathema.
Anathema, right? That's why I wanted to read it. That's Minto in chat. I for sure. I think it is a little bit weird. It doesn't really affect me too much because it's a third party.
Yeah, I mean, look, it does feel like it is very out of character for Nintendo, and your game was meant to run at this frame rate and be seen this way. However, we're not saying anything about Nintendo's proprietary titles here. We're very specifically talking about Cyberpunk 2077 and other third-party titles here. This is, a CD Projekt Red thing. So I think that, while Nintendo can continue to be extremely precious about its own IP, it is working with a lot of, welcoming third-party devs basically to have their games on their system. And in order for them to, basically, if things run well enough on the Switch 2 that it doesn't look so different from running it on your PlayStation 5 or on your PC or whatever the case may be, then that's just more market for Nintendo to corner. Because again, the advantage the Switch has always had is that it is a handheld and it is a console that you can just, plug into your TV. And I think that, being deeply entrenched within gaming, we tend to underestimate the number of people for whom just the fact that they can plug their Switch into their TV and it's ready to go is incredibly advantageous. And so if it is able to essentially mimic well enough what these more powerful consoles are doing, then there's no reason for people to buy the more powerful consoles, and Nintendo continues to hold that part of the market.
Yep. And I think that, when you get to games like Metroid Prime 4, Beyond, which also, I guess it's Nintendo first party that has these options, but that's, it's a cross-gen game. And
yeah,
I think as you get into the options of like 120 frames per second, like the high refresh rate and 4K, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to put this game that is a Switch 1 game onto Switch 2 to take advantage of the beefier hardware and to take advantage of the better HDMI connection. So let's go ahead and just give it 120 frames per second. Well, not everyone's going to have a 120 hertz television or support that or care about that. And so it's like, well, we still have this overhead, this power that we could be using. Let's give them the option. If they want to do 120 frames per second, they can do that. Or if they want to do 4K, they can do that. So I just think this is them naturally processing the opportunities that they have. And then I still think the bulk of Nintendo's first party teams will just offer a pure answer to like what the game should run like, and then leaving other developers free to make those choices for themselves. That's the right answer, clearly.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, there's that new Star Wars game got confirmed. Renting PS5s is a popular thing in Japan, apparently. We'll talk about all of that right after this. All right, let's get back into it. Jeff Grubb, Emma Fyffe, game-breaking news. Let's do this. Star Wars Zero Company, a turn-based game at the end of the Clone Wars, gets its full reveal. This is from Maddie Myers at Polygon. Star Wars Zero Company, which one might colloquially call or refer to as the XCOM Star Wars game, or ZCOM, got a full reveal today at a panel at Star Wars Celebration in Japan. As for why one might refer to the game in that way, it's because Greg Forsythe, yeah, I think it's Forsythe, the CEO and creative director at BitReactor, which is the studio making the game, previously worked on multiple major turn-based games at Firaxis, including the previous XCOM games. This is, we kind of got this confirmed previously. We knew it was coming. They've said that it was coming for years now. Then we finally gave us some key art last week, and now they've had a cinematic trailer, a panel. They talked about. I think Lucy James was actually on that panel and talked to them.
Yeah, she moderated it.
She moderated it. Very cool. Overall, I think this is a very exciting game. Glad to see it. Glad this is not one of the Star Wars games getting canceled by EA.
I totally agree. I love a Star Wars single player experience. And yeah, I like that again, that, they're committing to this being a single player strategy game. And we haven't seen that from a Star Wars in a video game. I'm trying to think if ever. If so, it's been a really long time. So yeah, I mean, this is great.
I think that it also seems to have a pretty good tone and vibe.
Yeah.
There is that Star Wars Hunters game from Zynga that was a lot of fun. I have zero issues with it, but I think its jokey Fortnite presentation probably turned off a lot of people. This seems to be like, let's take it a little bit seriously and kind of make it feel like, what if there really was this team in these small skirmishes? What would they be comprised of? And it's like, there's cool looking, there's a Jedi or someone with a lightsaber at the very least, and there's a cool looking droid that looks pretty tough. And I'm like, yeah, this seems like something I'm in the mood for. Although I expect, if it is like XCOM, you'll probably have a large cast of characters, maybe even a little bit of custom characters that you could bring in there. So yeah, love me XCOM, and really looking forward to this. I think BitReactor getting a chance to get started, make its own stuff, and be able to go right back to that genre, something that not a lot of other major studios are working with. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Renting PS5s is proving extremely popular in Japan, with most stores selling out. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Renting PS5s in Japan is reportedly extremely popular, with most stores at capacity. Japanese retailer Geo has told IT Media News that the service, which the company began earlier this year, has been more popular than they expected. The service was originally launched due to the limited availability of the PS5. service, which is provided by 400 stores across Japan, lets players rent a PS5 console for either 8 days for 980 yen, which is about $6.70, or 15 days for the equivalent of about $12 before returning it to the store. Geo claims that the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, a series that has always been extremely popular in Japan, has spurred the success of the service. While Sony isn't actively involved in the program, Geo claims it had deep discussions with the platform holder ahead of the launch of the rental program. I think this goes back to the price increases in Japan, which have happened a couple times, I think, for the PS5. It's still very expensive there. I think there's also, you look at the sales chart in Japan, and it's like the PS5 sells okay. It sells pretty good, actually. It's not the fastest selling Sony console. I think PS4 did very well, but the PS2 obviously was a massive success there. But like the games never sell a ton, and I think maybe this helps with that. If you can get more people feeling comfortable about getting a PS5 at a reasonable price for like the 2 weeks that they want to play a new game, probably makes it a little bit easier for those people to buy software and then one day get a PS5 for real if they are feeling like, okay, now I have a library of games I want to play, and now I can justify getting the system and actually purchasing it. Seems like an inelegant solution, but I guess I'm surprised it's so popular.
Yeah. So I think that some of it comes down to what you were explaining there in terms of how much the yen is equivalent to the US dollar at the moment. This is very tentative. This is all going to change. But the yen is very weak right now. And so as somebody who's, traveled in Japan the last 2 years, it's shocking, actually, how far your money goes. Because when I first went to Japan in 2010, it was like 100 yen was, I think, a little more than $1.
Yeah, it was pretty close to $1.
And now 100 yen is like 69 cents.
Yep.
And so that really adds up very quickly. And again, it like, to us, it sounds like, oh, that's a really good deal. But you have to think of it for them as like, it still is more like $9, which again, still a really good deal. But that is part of the reason why like the rental system definitely makes sense. And especially given the fact that, PlayStation 5 is still definitely the console that gets the most exclusives. And also Japan is a country that, even though, yes, they are getting more into the PC market, it is still very largely run on consoles. So again, when you're in a position where, okay, well, there's all these games that I can run on my PS4, I'm not going to buy a PS5 because everything's working just fine on the console that I already have. But then you come up against something that is only on the PS5. And so you go, yeah, if you have the rental option, why wouldn't you rent instead of purchasing if there's like one specific game that you want to play and you rent it for that 2 week period and you're able to focus on playing it for those 2 weeks. And then, in some cases it's like, oh, okay, you finish it. Or say it is like a Monster Hunter Wilds and you want to keep playing it. Then you're in the position of going, okay, well, do I want to buy a PlayStation or not? Yep. But yeah, I mean, everything nowadays, I mean, PlayStation was revolutionary even in the 90s at its launch because, we rented PlayStation games all the time.
I rented a PlayStation.
Yeah, all the time, because all you needed to have was a memory card.
Right.
And now all you need is like a PlayStation account and all of your data is just in the cloud. Like I can log on, I can have my Resident Evil 4 save file on
you need Plus, right? Plus is where the cloud saves are. I can't keep it straight anymore.
I'm not sure. I'm in a very fortunate position that I need to have a PlayStation Plus account for my job. But still, again, like PlayStation was always ahead of the curve in terms of your data being transferable. So yeah, okay, so you do pay for cloud saves on Sony, but again,
still, I don't know if you're renting a thing. If you're playing Monster Hunter Wild, you need PS Plus as well. So yeah,
exactly. And if that's all you're paying for, you're not paying to the $500+ for the console itself. And I don't know what the game rental market looks like, but theoretically PlayStation does have, PS5 has a disk drive. There's versions of PS5 with a disk drive, and if we're talking about renting a disk drive PS5, can you also rent the game? So basically you're paying for the data, and that's it.
Yep. I think what this really speaks to, right, is that people do want to be playing these games, and they want to be playing it, on a PlayStation, but they don't want to buy a console. And so all of this work to like get cloud streaming up and running, it's like there's clearly something there. It's just there's a hump that they have not been able to get over to convince people that is a viable and reasonable way. And like honestly, it's if I wanted to start with like, hey, I want to play Monster Hunter Wilds, what would I have to do to be able to cloud stream that to myself? I actually don't even know where to start. Like if it's like through PlayStation stuff, I guess I could do it on NVIDIA, the game streaming thing that NVIDIA has. I could figure that out probably. So, maybe that's the hump is it's just a little bit awkward and nebulous, this concept.
Yeah.
But renting a PlayStation, that's very easy to understand. Even if like there is quirks to it of like, do you need a PlayStation Plus account? Like, should I buy the game? Do I rent the games from you and then give it back? And then where's my save go? Can I keep it on a USB stick? Yeah,
exactly. And again, it's like on top of the fact that yes, you can be paying for that data to do cloud saves on the PlayStation. It still has the ability to, it's not a memory card, but like, or as simple as the old memory card system where everything was just naturally saved there. But like my data's all on an SSD.
Yep.
I don't have that kind of space on my PlayStation. Like,
I just, it's clearly that there is a opportunity if you can find a way to get these games to these people without requiring them to spend $500 and up on new hardware. There's a lot of people out there ready to go, but instead the console keeps getting more expensive. It's going the opposite direction. So it kind of feels like they're getting further away from solving that problem. All right, let's see here. Assassin's Creed Shadows may be coming to Nintendo Switch 2, according to a new rating. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Assassin's Creed Shadows could be coming to Nintendo Switch 2, according to a PEGI rating. PEGI gave an M rating, and it mentions it's for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, I think we're at a point where all third-party, all big third-party games for the most part will come to Switch 2, and I think most games, for as much as they are beginning to move on from PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Switch 2 is really in between. Like as much as like the hardware on paper is a PS4, I think the memory bandwidth, the faster storage speed, the better CPU just makes it so much more like less of a hassle to actually port games to that than it would be to the last gen consoles. And Ubisoft has a history of supporting new hardware, so this one doesn't surprise me. I expect we'll probably get this by the end of the year on Switch 2, and I think that's a good fit for that kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, we've discussed the fact that we're all very happy for Ubisoft, they needed a win, and this is just enough of a win that I'm feeling good for them, and it's kind of a no-brainer to me that this would be on Switch 2.
Right. If their strategy really is all Assassin's Creed all the time, which is basically what they're saying, the fact that the most recent Assassin's Creed worked is necessary and good for them.
Yes, it is.
Although I think the Guillemot family should still move on. All right. Last headline I have here. Rematch is going to be very popular. Have you heard about this game, Emma?
Rematch? No. Rematch?
So, it's okay. Imagine Rocket League, but with people. That's see, there you go.
It's people who can also like run on the walls. And
okay, well they can't do that.
Okay, all right. Okay.
It's from the people that made Sifu, so everyone's calling it Fyffe. They're calling it Fifu. I think. Yes, that's pretty good. And it is very much. It's a joke, but also the way the perspective works, the way the game functions. It is Rocket League with people. So the camera follows you around as you play as one player. The entire basically each round, and the round would be like between goals. I think it rotates you, so it's like, well, now you're the goalie, so you should stay back and be the goalie, and you can use your hands and stuff like that. Now we're gonna swap you around. Now you're gonna be a striker or something like that. So it's different from like goal to goal, but you play as that character and you run around. There's other people on your team. It's 5v5.
Okay.
And it looks really good. Sifu was known for having excellent fighting animations, and they've just adapted that to soccer, and it looks really cool. I was going to try to play it last week for UPF, but we had a scheduling thing got in the way.
And it's like it's goofy like Rocket League, right? It's not serious soccer rules.
It's not like FIFA Street or something from EA Big back in the day.
Right.
But it's not like a hardcore sim. It's it's not even trying to be like professional soccer. This is not the Premier League. The ball bounces off the wall. It doesn't go out of bounds, and it bounces back into play. And it's very much like an arena soccer thing, which is inherently a little bit goofier, I suppose. But it does, at the same time, taking it more seriously than Rocket League. Now, it's working. The game had a beta over the weekend that you could basically go on Steam, you click a button, hey, I want to be a part of this beta, and then they invite you in. A lot of people did that. It had a peak concurrent player count yesterday of 133,000 people, which is massive. Like that is more than most new big AAA game releases get. I'm trying to remember, like several years ago, I think like Cyberpunk had like 80,000 or something on at its launch. So this is just for the beta. The game is out June 16th. That's for the early access, and then June 19th is its release date for everybody. That is a big number. So I everyone that's playing it is saying kind of nice things, and they're having a good time. I think this is going to be the next big online multiplayer hit. It feels like it really is primed to do that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, look, I like any online multiplayer hit that is something other than a battle royale or a capture the flag or a everybody shoot each other in general kind of thing. So I'm for it. If we're bringing football to the big time with the not that there aren't grown-ups who play Rocket League, but it's just, I have a flashback to when we were at DreamHack and they had these promos with these like 12-year-old children that one of them did this. And I was like, no, I don't want to know what your secret is, 9-year-old. Thank you so much.
You just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, keep that to yourself, please. But yeah, this is cool. I like the art style.
Yep, it's looks pretty cool. Looks like a lot of fun, and it's just such an easy concept, right? Go score a goal. I think that's when you're talking about multiplayer games, the simpler the concept, the better. And then the exact opposite true. The more convoluted and more of an extraction shooter you are, you got to be one of the extremes. You can't be somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from last week. Let me refresh here so I could see it on my side. Did we get one posted, Jan? I can't remember. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like you have it. All right, let me refresh one more time.
Wow.
Oh, I see what's happening here. I am just actually in the page itself. Okay. Did Nintendo justify $80 Mario Kart World to you? Yes, no, or I don't know, but I'm buying it. That's the one I went with. 10%
I'm definitely I don't know, but I'm buying it.
Well, so 30% of respondents are also in that category. 10% said yes, they did justify it, and 60% said no. Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing how this game like butts up against this, because it's just true. You raise the price on something and you inherently price more people out. So they've raised the price. Let's see how many more people they price out. It's going to be hard to tell at first, right, Emma? Because every Switch 2 is going to probably sell with this game for quite some time. And that's going to be the most diehard of the audience. Why did I say it like diehardman?
I like the way that you said it. Yeah, the most diehard.
Let's put the emphasis on different syllables every time.
Exactly.
Yes. But once we get like into 2026 and we like begin comparing Mario Kart World to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is like just, hey, every quarter this thing is selling 1 million more copies. Is Mario Kart World going to do that? We'll see.
Yeah.
I think there's a strong chance that this price could be a major drag on it, but maybe Nintendo's already done that math. They're like, we don't care. We're going to make more money on it. We're happy about that.
I mean, Nintendo, gonna Nintendo. And as you say, most people I think are going to be looking to get this bundled with their Switch 2.
Yep.
And it's not like we live in an era of we need to have game cartridges. It's like, no. This comes with your Switch too.
No,
Not a physical copy.
Game,
it's just in your Switch.
I personally want this game on that Switch 2 all the time, just in case someone's like, let's play it. Like, I mean, that's how I am with all my games. But even if I was physical, I'd be like, nah, digital Mario Kart World is the one that makes a lot of sense. I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing this all roll out and how it all works. And I do appreciate, that 30% are like, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it justified the price, but I'm still buying it. That's nice to see that people are going to be completely forthright like that. All right, new poll question we'll get to in a second. Before we do that, let's ask Emma Fyffe where we can find her on the internet, what she has going on, all that good stuff.
Well, if you're perusing the fandom wikis, particularly of the film and television variety, you might just see my face talking about the final season of Handmaid's Tale and what people were searching for and clicking on. And then I love it actually when people will just randomly text me during the day that they're doing, like, my writer friends are like, oh, I was doing research for a thing on a fandom wiki, and
I was doing research on a fandom thing on a wiki yesterday, and there was your face talking about ups and downs of page views on fandom. It was fun to see.
That's fan polls, baby. And then I'm on Blue Sky and I'm on Instagram. And I'm checking those Pop Mart shops and Robo shops all the time. Though, again, I feel pretty satisfied right now until the next Labubu drop happens this week. You can find me trying to get a new Labubu and a new Switch 2. It's gonna be a tough week for the internet. And that's me. That's
well, everyone keep up with Emma. We'll hopefully be back next Monday. I think there's no reason we shouldn't be. So looking forward to having you back on the show then. In the meantime, new poll question. Let's see here. I wrote it down and everything. Have you ever rented a console? Yes or no? You can go ahead and vote on that on youtube.com/@GiantBomb under the community tab there. You'll find all of our polls. Vote. We'll get the results. Talk about it on Game Breaking News here on the Power Block featuring Giant Bomb and GameSpot. That'll be on Wednesday's show. Speaking of the Power Block, not sure what else is happening today. Dan is traveling. Other stuff is in the works. Getting some stuff sorted out. But we'll have some more information for you soon. Tomorrow, the Bombcast. And then we'll be back with Game Breaking News for the rest of the week after that. And shouldn't be a Blight Club because, again, Dan is traveling, but we might have a Delight Club. We'll figure out some stuff for y'all. In fact, we're going to have a meeting about that. Yes. Yeah. So Blight Club, play the bad game till completion. Delight Club is, here's a game I think you might like. And it's the nice reversal. Like, that's how I discovered Gamera 2000. Mike made me play that. It's a Japanese only a PlayStation release. It's like Star Fox for PlayStation. And it is so good. With like the best soundtrack on the PlayStation. God, I love that game now. All right, let's see here. I think that is going to do it. Emma Fyffe, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you, Jeff Grubb.
Now, every time, it's a good show. Thank you all for listening and watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.